Hi, my name is Brian Catalano, and I want to tell you what my favorite budget Sony full-frame lens is. This guy. It might surprise you, and why it might actually be my favorite lens. It's the lens I use the most, at least. So without further ado, or to bury the lead, it is the 24, not the 1.8 Rokinon, but the 2.8. I'll tell you why this is one of my favorite lenses that I own and why it always stays attached to my Sony A7C. One, it's cheap. It's $199 and it's super lightweight. So if I drop it or it gets scratched or ruined or I throw it in my bag and something happens to it, I'm actually okay with that because I could buy another one cheaper than I could buy the 24 G Master 1.4. Granted, that's going to be an amazing lens, but it's huge. And I'd probably be so cautious to use it because it's expensive that it would probably just look really nice on my shelf and barely go on my camera. And that's what happens with my actual favorite lens, which is, this is the G lens, the 21.8. And I love this guy. And it's expensive for me. I think it was like $8.99. And you can see the size difference. And you could probably imagine the weight difference. This actually feels like a quality piece of glass and metal, and this feels like plastic and whatever else they use, magic they use to make it this lightweight. But I love this lens, the Sony 20, but it is wider than I typically need. The depth of field of 1.8 is perfect. I still think 2.8 is better. I shoot a lot of short films, I do a lot of vlogging, and I pretty much have this on my camera. And I'm going to do that now because I think right now I'm using a 28, so you can sort of see the difference. And it's a 4-stop, so so as you can see, we're now on the 24. It's definitely wider, and there's more separation. We're at 2.8 compared to the 4 before. So this is pretty much my go-to vlogging setup. It's on the Sony A7C, it's 24, I can move in a little bit closer, I could sort of sit back a little bit and you get more of the room, more of the sort of setting that you're in, and it gives me more space. So I am arm's distance away. So being that I could put this on a gimbal, which I often do, I've got the Xingyang M2 crane, which is again, something most people wouldn't consider putting a full frame camera on and a lens on, and you can because it's together, the combination, the weight is, I'll put the weight up, of the lens and the camera and the combination of that. And it's, I think, still under the limit of the gimbal, but it's great. I can have it with an arm's length and I'm still getting enough reach. The 20 would be better, but it would be so heavy that I probably couldn't balance it, and I would have to get a more expensive gimbal, which I'll do eventually, but you know, everything adds up. So this is less of a review because you can Google or look up on YouTube any review about this Rokinon, and which I did before buying it, but this is a testimonial. I use this mostly for video. I'm not much of a photographer. That's not why I use a camera. So what I needed for this was a good autofocus, and I needed it to be quiet. So I'm gonna move around a bit so you can sort of hear and see how the autofocus works. And when I say hear, I'm meaning you're probably not gonna hear the motor because you'll just hear my mic, but you can sort of get how the focus works. And I have shot this on a few short films, or used this to shoot a few short films. And I will say at a distance, sometimes autofocus does hunt. I can say sometimes there's some focus breathing. And I know that, and so maybe I'll use a native Sony lens if I'm in a situation like that. I'll say almost 85% of the time it's dependable. And the other percentage of the time that it's not dependable, I just cut around it. And if I'm just sitting doing one of these talking head pieces, it's gonna be fine. Again, there may be focus breathing depending on lighting or some other circumstances. But I will pop out a frame and see how quickly, and I've got the focus sensitivity pretty low because I'd rather it be more cinematic and not just punch in, because again, I use this more for video than for photography. So it does everything that I need it to do. It's one of those things where it's budgetarily friendly and it's functional, and it pretty much stays on my camera because I'm not worried about it. For that reason, if it's on the camera, I'm going to use it more often than not. I can put it on and it can just pop in any bag. So lightweight as a combination together. Here, I'll take a little picture of what it looks like now, and we can cut to that so you can see sort of what my setup is. How lightweight, how small of a footprint it is, I should say. And I'll post those pictures up, obviously. So it's super small, fits in my bag, and I can use it all the time. So I want to interrupt this by saying, I don't know what happened to the audio at that point. I had one of those Seramonic Blink 500 Pro, I think that's what it's called, lavs on, you'll see in the shot. I was really excited, I got it that day, so I was hoping to use it and really test out the sound quality. And I don't know if I hit the mute button, but the thing that I explained that really went well in the video review cut out, and so I'm missing a whole part. And so upon reviewing it and editing it, I was really frustrated, and it made me think about how difficult these videos are. First, because these are tech reviews and it's not really my expertise. I'm a new filmmaker as far as knowing about tech, period. I think I'm a better storyteller and more comfortable in the realms of talking about behavior or therapy or film in general, but I actually like doing these tech reviews because I found them so useful when I'm searching on YouTube. So I thought, you know, I should make videos that I would want to see. And I also want to really tell you why I love this lens, because it is one of my favorite lenses, and I think the reason behind it is that I can use it without fear of breaking it, which means I use it more, and that's the whole point. So, long story short is, I also realized that it's hard to make these videos and to have a flow. And if you've ever made any of these videos, if you're a YouTuber and you're just watching content and you don't know, these are really hard. And to speak without stuttering, to speak without pauses, to speak and have a flow if it's scripted or not is difficult. So a lot of what I'm doing editing wise is cutting out my pauses and my ands and my so's and my buts, or repeating lines over and over. And the great thing is sometimes you get in a flow because you're talking about something you're excited about. And it's rare, but when it happens, it's amazing because you're not making a lot of cuts. And of course my audio dips out in one of these sections, and it made me just sort of realize, what do I want to make as a content creator? You know, I love these reviews and I always want to add a little spice of my personality and maybe some life lessons or something, because that's really what I'm wanting to do. I want this sort of be the Trojan horse to a greater message. So I hope you watch my short films, my tech reviews, some of my behavioral talks. But in every one, I want to try to slip in something that connects me to you and me to not just a more general audience, but to me to a more general sentiment about being human. And I think some of the best content creators that I follow are ones that do that. They either have their tech reviews and they add a lot of humor, or they make their reviews really artistic. And I don't know which way I want to go with that, or I do know it's a lot of effort to make these. It's a lot more difficult than it appears. And, you know, we put the music under it so it flows. We cut out all the pauses so it feels like we're talking without these pauses. But it is hard, and so I think I wanted to interrupt this little section to sort of reveal more of who I am. And I'll continue the review, but I just thought it
worth noting that I had this huge section about this lens that I wanted to use my G lens, but I was in the desert and it was too hot, blah, 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 blah. I didn't record it, so it's lost in history. And instead of redoing it, I sort of wanted to interject something that means something. And I don't know what that is, but maybe this is just me being vulnerable and letting you know, if you create content, that I hear you, I empathize with how difficult these are to make. And if you are just a viewer, thank you for viewing. And I just wanted to sort of share that these are not easy, and it's not easy to talk to the camera, and it's not easy to come up with ideas of things you want to make, videos you want to make, because it is about the more the merrier as far as the algorithm goes. So I'm trying to make content, but I have to also care about what I'm saying, or else it's going to feel so difficult watching myself, my stupid face as it feels sometimes, say the same thing over and over. And to look at me kindly and with love, it's hard to listen to your own voice, as you're probably aware. It's even harder to see your own face, and it's harder to see your own face talk inauthentically. But that being said, I really do believe in this lens, and even when I'm talking about something that I care about, it can be hard because I don't have enough caffeine, or I don't, just tired that day or something. So I just wanted to, as the editor of this video, sort of interject my 2 cents here, and this will fill in the blank of what I was hoping to get, but hopefully this adds some meaning, because it is important to me that you know who the person is behind this person. So thank you, and I'll cut back to here.
I think what I keep coming back to is like, what tools do you have that will make you want to create art and quickly? And if you have tools that, one, you don't know how to use because they're too complex for you, or they're too expensive so you feel too sacred about using them, or they feel too fragile, then you're really just getting in your own way. So a lot of times I will not buy the top of the line equipment, one, because I'm worried about them, and two, because you probably don't need it. There's always that middle tier where is usually more than good enough. And a lot of times they make higher end stuff to sort of price people out. So I like to end all of these with some moral or call to action, and that is that your gear should not inhibit you, it should liberate you. It should be something you're not afraid to use, or you don't understand how to use it because it's so complex, or you shouldn't use any of those excuses as to why you don't just pick up your camera and shoot. So this lens is not just budgetarily friendly and functional because I use it all the time, it also has characteristics that some of the native Sony lenses don't do because they're so clean and so sharp. And I like solar flares. I like some flaws in the lens. I like that it shows some uniqueness to it. And I find that the cheaper lenses do that, whereas the better lenses, maybe they're made more for photography and they just want a clean, down the line image. And I get that. But, you know, I think if I wanted to get one of those vintage Russian lenses that don't autofocus, I might do that because it's probably going to have even way more characteristic. But this has autofocus and it works great, and it has character, and I want to use it, and. If your gear is too expensive or too complex, or feels like you're just out of reach so you never use it or you never pick it up, then I think you have the wrong gear. And for me, it's nice to have some nice things and know how to use those things, but those take time. But having something that's cheap and functional and has character, and I don't mind throwing it in a bag, mounting it on a car, using it for a vlog, using it on the end of a gimbal, all those things mean I'm going to use it more. And I'm going to have more ways to express and create. And to me, all those are wins. So it's not just about, this is a great budget lens. For me, this is a great lens. So this is, again, not a review, but a testimonial. And as somebody who uses this lens a lot, shoots a lot of video, shoots a lot of vlogs, shoots a lot of short films, I can tell you, if you're on the fence about buying this lens, buy it. And if any of those reasons sort of aligned with what you're looking for in a lens, and if you just want the best and the most expensive thing, then you probably are not gonna want this. Buy the G Master. But I don't understand that logic unless money doesn't matter to you and you don't mind having a few of them. You break your G Master, it's just $3 grand or $2 grand or whatever it costs. If that doesn't matter to you, then and if you don't want character, if you want something that's just clean and sharp, get that. So I will have a link in the description below. It is not affiliated. This is just a faux sales pitch. I'm not a shill for Rokinon or Samyang. I'm a shill to promote creativity and promote tools that will allow you to be more creative. And I think this is a great tool for that. So thank you for your attention. And if you like this video and you like my short films, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out more than you know. Thank you again. I love you. Bye.